Ben Carson, in response to Ilhan Omar's attack, uses her abortion claims against her. First Democratic Representative Ilhan Omar of Minnesota mocked HUD Secretary Ben Carson for not meeting her standards of perkiness during a recent congressional hearing. Then Carson rebuked Omar by reminding her of what really matters. Not sure he was fully awake, maybe he meant to reclaim his time back to sleep. Omar tweeted, referring to Carson's request for time, while Democrats assailed him with questions during a Tuesday hearing before the Democrat-dominated House Financial Service Committee. Carson, who has a brain surgeon saved countless lives, reminded Omar that he has some first-hand experience with the powers of concentration and staying alert. Since you brought it up, I know what it's like to actually be sleepy, especially after 18-hour surgeries and operating on babies in the womb. I hope Ilhan Omar knows I care about all people, even though she doesn't recognize as having a right to life. Carson tweeted, referring to Omar's recent attack on Obama for a law that would outlaw most abortions. On social media, Omar has claimed that such laws protect sexual abusers, not unborn children. Carson, meanwhile, has spent his life saving the lives of children, including those not yet born. Ben Carson tweeted, since you brought it up, I know what it's like to actually be sleepy, especially after 18-hour surgeries and operating on babies in the womb. I hope Ilhan Omar knows I care about all people, even though she doesn't recognize as having a right to life. The exchange left many proclaiming Carson the winner and supporting his position. Linda Solar, PhD, tweeted, if Omar lives to be 100, she will never accomplish as much good as Dr. Ben Carson did in 1 week of his life, nor will she have the intelligence or the humanity. She is shameless and a massive drag on the Dems. Only good thing she'll ever do. Robert Van Boven tweeted, Secretary Carson, I'm sorry that the hearing is framed to misconstrue your values and humanity with restricting you to a yes or no response. Having known you since 1987, I trust your faith and the biblical reference Hopkins' motto will sustain you. The truth will set you free. The truth will set you free. Eric tweeted, replying to Secretary Carson, Ilhan Omar, I watched the disrespectful way you were treated in the hearing. I'm proud of you for not playing the game. If they want to have a real conversation and do something without grandstanding, let them come to your office. We support you. Carson's Tuesday hearing lasted 3.5 hours as Democrats who have objected to Carson's leadership at HUD throughout his 2+ years at the helm of the agency peppered Carson with objections and questions. At one point, Democratic Representative Katie Porter of California asked Carson about REO rates. The acronym stands for Real Estate Owned Properties, which are properties owned by a bank of lender after foreclosure. Do you know what an REO is? She barked. Oreo? Carson replied, referring to the popular cookie. No, not an Oreo, an REO, Porter replied. Carson later explained the exchange in an interview with Stuart Warner on the Fox Business Network. You can see that some of the networks are only interested in those kinds of sound bites that they can use to ridicule. The fact of the matter is I was having difficulty hearing her, he said. Carson said he knows all about REO properties from his teenage years in Detroit. When a family gets into a problem with their mortgage and it's backed by your agency, we go through a lot of procedures with the banks to make sure that they don't get foreclosed upon, and the few causes where they do. Obviously, we were able to sell those properties very quickly, he said. And the REO portfolio just over the last 10 years has dramatically decreased by tenfold, 65,000 down to 6,500. He said Porter was behind the times. So I suspect when Katie Porter was an expert in this area, things were very different, he said. That's why I invited her to speak with her staff that deals with these so they can bring her up to date. Maybe she would then be able to understand what's going on. Carson was lambasted by Democrats for the HUD proposal to end aid to families with some members in the U.S. illegally, even if other family members are legal residents or citizens. Fox News reported. Democratic Representative Carlin Mahoney of New York called the plan despicable. Carson suggested actually reading his proposal. If you read the rule carefully, you will see that it provides a 6-month deferral on request. If they have not found another place to live, he said, adding that with renewals, a family can have end of it. If you read the rule carefully, you will see that it provides a 6-month deferral on request. If they have not found another place to live, he said, adding that with renewals, a family can have end of aid deferred for a total of 18 months, which is plenty of time for Congress to engage in comprehensive immigration reform so that this becomes a moot point. If in fact you want to explain in the American citizens who have been on the wait list for several years in your district in New York why we should continue to support families who are not here legally, I would be happy to join you in helping explain that. I would be happy to join you in helping explain that to them, Carson said. In a commentary piece posted on Fox News, former House Speaker Newt Gingrich sided with Carson. In fact, thousands of Americans are being discriminated against in favor of people who are here illegally or are unlawfully receiving taxpayer aid they do not deserve and should not be getting, Gingrich wrote.